Hey friends, if you're watching this video on January 16th of 2020, today marks the 1-year anniversary of my grandfather passing from this life into the next. In this video, and in the video series that will follow, I want to honor his life because he is a man that I admired and it is a life that is worth honoring. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Friends, if this is your first time here, I just want to personally welcome you to the HomeGrown Ministries YouTube channel. I'm DJ, and on this channel I strive to provide you with biblical wisdom and encouragement to strengthen your walk of faith. I do have a wife, 2 kids, and a full-time job, so I don't get to post videos as often as I would like to. So if you enjoy today's content and you don't want to miss anything in the future, please make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, click on that bell icon, and YouTube will let you know the next time I post a video, because I don't know when that's going to be. That could be tomorrow, or that could be 3 weeks from now. I don't know. Now, as I was preparing to put the script together for today's video, I wasn't able to outdo what I had already written about my grandfather's life. So instead, I'm going to read you some things that I've already written about him. I'm going to try not to cry, but I make no promises. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my vision for a future video series. The first thing I'm going to read to you comes from a Facebook post that I published after I heard the news of my grandfather. And it says, "When I think of a good man, I definitely think of you. When Jesus said, 'Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God,' I know the statement defines the way you lived your life, and I've always admired that about you. Usually in situations like this, people would say that the world would be a darker place without you. But I know your light will shine in many lives that you've touched for generations to come. I was so blessed to have you in my life for so long, and will miss you terribly. However," harder than I thought. "However, I rejoice because today is not the day of your death, but it's the first day of your new life in heaven. I can't imagine what you're seeing right now. Give me a minute. But if there's a bowling alley up there, bowl some strikes for us, Pap." And then I finished it with a Bible verse that comes from 2 Corinthians 5:1. 2 Corinthians 5:1 says, "For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, an eternal house in heaven, not built by human hands." Okay, made it through the first one. No crying. Here we go. So the second one comes from what I wrote for my Pap's eulogy. I was blessed to be able to do the eulogy at his funeral, and I'm going to read that to you now too, because it really gives you an idea. If you don't know who my grandfather was, if you never had the opportunity to be blessed to meet him, it'll give you a good idea of his personality and of his character. So what I wrote says, "We wear many hats in our life. As an example, my Pap was an Army veteran, a blue-collar American, a certified electrician, a state counselor, a loyal husband, a loving brother, father, uncle, grandfather, and great-grandfather, an all-around family man, just to name a few." Okay, this is way harder than I initially anticipated. Although he wore many hats in his life, he wore each one with a love for people. Although many things changed throughout his life, the one thing that never changed was this love for people. Jesus gave us a command in John 15:17 to love one another. In my opinion, this is the hardest command to put into practice in the entire Bible. It is such a simple statement, but also very difficult to live out. However, it was not hard for my grandfather, because he lived out this command each and every day of his life. He was a man who genuinely loved so many people with all of his heart, and being at the funeral home these last few days has shown what an impact what one life can have. So if anyone ever tells you that one person cannot make a difference, just point to the life of my grandfather and they will be quickly proven wrong. My Pap was always smiling, and it was an infectious smile. He smiled so much that it was hard to believe he ever had any setbacks in his life. However, when you look at his life, he did experience many hardships, but no matter what life threw his way, he always put his trust in God. Galatians 5:22 and 23 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." If that doesn't define my grandfather, then no statement ever will. He was a man of faith, and it showed in his character. If there was ever a man to look up to, or to be proud of, it was him. So I stand before you today as one of the many people in this room that is heartbroken over the passing of such a great man, and I will miss him terribly. However, I'm also able to rejoice, and I rejoice because I know that his spirit has only changed locations. The body is only a vessel that carries our spirit during our time on earth, and when that body ceases to operate, the spirit moves on. Romans 10:9 says, "If you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." Jesus himself said in John 14:2-3, "My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I'll come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am." You see, you are saved by faith alone. Jesus plus nothing equals your salvation and my salvation. It is faith that got my grandfather through the tough times. It was his faith that made him the man that he was. And his faith is the reason that I can rejoice today, because he is at this very moment with the Heavenly Father, completely at peace, and I will see him again one day. I love that man terribly, and I miss him more than words can express. But now I rejoice because I know that he is in heaven, experiencing no pain and no suffering, and he is with the Heavenly Father who cares for all of us greatly. And I know at the end of the day, at the end of my life, however long God allows me to live, I will see him again. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. Okay, that took a lot longer to get through than I expected, and that was a lot harder than I expected. But now that we're through all the sad stuff, let's talk about some of the things you may have seen on my desk in past videos. So all the things on my desk right here are things that have significant meaning to me, and some of them are reminders of my grandfather. For example, the first thing I want to show you is his belt buckle. He wore belt buckles every day of his life that I knew him, and this is one of his belt buckles. So I keep this on my desk. Helps me to remember him. Second thing that I have is a pair of his cufflinks. So I leave those on my desk, again next to his stuff. My grandfather loved Jesus, but he also loved the country. So at his funeral and at the viewings, I wore this American flag cross pin. I don't know if you can see it. If I can get it on there. There you go. There it is. So I wore that to honor him during his funeral and things of that nature. And I leave that on top of a Bible that he received when he served in the Korean War. This Bible is really cool because it's a Bible that he carried when he was in the military, but it also is cool because it's actually a leftover World War II Bible. I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying to get you to see it. So it's actually got an introduction and signature from Franklin Roosevelt, written in 1941. I think that's really cool. I really like this Bible just from the historical perspective, and as you guys know, I did go for my undergraduate for history education, so it's pretty cool to me. I really like this Bible. So it sits on my desk, again, as a good reminder of my grandfather. Now, the last and most important thing I want to show you guys is what got me the idea to start a new series. So I also happened to get his home Bible, the Bible that he actually read from and took notes in and things of that nature. And I've been looking at this recently, just because it's, the anniversary of his passing. And so I've been looking at his Bible, and in it there are a bunch of sticky notes. So he wasn't a guy to highlight things or write actually in his Bible, but he would put sticky notes in them. And the sticky notes show typically a chapter and a verse that he's identifying. There's no other words, it's usually just a chapter and a verse. So I'm not sure why he indicated these chapters and verses. What was it about them that he found interesting? What I'm gonna do to honor him is, going forward, I'm going to have a video series where I go through each of the verses that he marked in the Bible, and I'm gonna give you my perspective on them. It's just a great way for me to feel like he's around again, and it's something that I've just had on my heart to do. So hopefully you guys find value out of the verses that he identified, because I'm going to be going through them. There are 25 verses in this Bible that are marked with a sticky note, so there's going to be 25 videos. They're probably all going to be fairly short, and then plus this one, it'll be 26. So this is episode 1 of 26. Going forward, we'll be actually diving into each of the verses he identified. So hopefully, guys, this is something that you'll enjoy. It's really going to be good for me just to kind of go through them and, again, feel like he's around in my life again. So hopefully it helps you. It's going to help me a lot. And at the end of the day, I hope that doing this series honors him in some fashion, because he was a man, again, that is worth honoring. So guys, look forward to the next 25 episodes. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through that, but I am determined to go through each and every one of these verses. At the end of every video, I always end by telling you guys to encourage each other. And one of the things that I reflect on in today's video is that I really get that from my grandfather's life. He was somebody who was very positive, and very encouraging. So be like him and be like Jesus and continue to be the salt to the earth, be the light to the world, and go encourage somebody else today because the world desperately needs it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.